It's me. It's me. You don't know who me is? Well, let me introduce me. I'm Halfd0rk. Welcome to the Sandstorm Meetup. Today we're continuing our trading card game. So Sandstorm has been so great to host, I guess, this endeavor, this experiment of sorts. And one thing I noticed was I forgot to import the new assets we made. So I just wanted to show you the stuff we made last Sandstorm stream. So we'll head over there. Yeah, just quick idea of what we made. We made some animations and we made an essence. So this essence I was hoping to maybe add some purpose to today. We can see it has like a pulse, a little bit of a spin. We can see the pulse itself had like a little animation. We had a spin effect. So we could try either of those in game. However, I forgot to export them at the end of our session yesterday or last week. So we won't be able to see them in today's show. And we also made some cool kind of like static animations. And these are based off of the card art that we found in like a Humble Bundle. So I essentially purchased art, and when I purchased it, you know, I'm buying the rights to use it in a game. I'll never, you know, resell it, but you can see these are the things we made last week during our Sandstorm stream. So check those out on the YouTube page if that's something you'd be interested in looking into. And then we're also this Wednesday continuing our Vox Edit series, probably going to be making more animations. We'll walk through the steps of exporting to the marketplace. And then we should also make some user interface assets, and perhaps, you know, like some cool like victory messages, or like it's super effective, you know, kind of like Pokemon themed-esque. Hey, what's up? Welcome in O24K, the Hombre, as well as Roxy Miguel. Buenos tardes. Welcome. Hope you're all having a nice day. Thanks for popping in, saying hi. If you guys have any questions when it comes to Game Maker, anything with the Sandbox, I will do my best to answer. And because we're in the Game Maker itself, if it is a question having to do with game mechanics, I will gladly take the time to help you better understand how to do something in the Sandbox. Maybe it's a mechanic you saw in the alpha. We here at Sandstorm definitely want to encourage learning and being a space for building. So Roxy Miguel says, win Wolves cards. You know, Roxy, for you, and I'm going to write this down so I don't forget, we can make a monster and theme it off of you, off the community. I think that might be fun to have every, you know, person here in the community that's active in the space. We can maybe make a monster for. So Roxy wants to be a wolf. Wolf in the card game. Or perhaps you could be kind of like, you know, in Pokemon, how there's the trainers. So maybe we'll have like a wolf trainer. And so you, as your one-eyed wolf, will send out your Pokemon to fight me. Spoin! No spoins here. Hi, Vvox. Welcome. So, in our actual game, where we last left off, we were making RNG. And one thing that occurred to me was this ball, we can see it's dropping. That's our RNG at play. At the start of every turn, the ball is stopping. Now, the problem here is we're removing that potential stop every turn. So basically from 8 to 6, if you can read those numbers, that is now going to be a gap. And so that actually doubles the percentage chance to get the 6. So if you think about it, like once I pass that 8 kind of level, that blank carpet, because those are the assets, those are carpets. But once I pass that, I'm basically only able to get 6 while it's still dropping until it passes the 6. So that does kind of give my 6th option a little bit more leverage. And in terms of RNG, what I can do is just maybe put the less wanted cards on higher numbers, if that makes sense. So for example, if we really wanted to get, the number 1 card, that would probably be associated with like our best card, our rarest card. And so there's almost like a percentage chance that leans in the favor of the worst cards. And so that's easily shifted. Like I can change which card is associated with which number simply by, reorienting the card that spawns from our spawner here. And so these are the things I'm considering. But for today's work, I would love to work a little bit more on the experience that the player gets while kind of like inside of the space they're trapped in. So for the last like couple episodes, we were kind of looking at it from this point of view so I could understand the RNG better. But now our RNG is relatively working, at least the first 10 turns. So we're doing in turns of 10. And so the first 10 turns work as expected with us being assigned a random card. Hello and good night. Well, Boxmaker Mark, have yourself a fantastic evening. Thanks for popping in. Buenos tardes. What's good evening? And also, Mark, do you speak Spanish or Portuguese? Good night in Spanish. Buenos noches. And so if I were to, play this 10 times, so let's just run through it 10 times real quick. We can see here I'm ending my turn. Every time I end my turn, it's giving me a new card. Whoops, turn the camera a little bit too far there. So I'm getting a new card every time I end the turn. It's on the start of a new turn. I'm drawing a card. We can see also whenever I do click the end turn, it's actually killing the player, and that resets me into a place where I can't move much. So you can see here, I'll try to move, and I can move like an inch or two, but with how the camera is going to be set up, I'm basically locked in a top-down position, so I wouldn't be able to get very far anyway. Ideally, we should be able to get 10 different turns here. So we're on turn 8 at the moment. So I have 4 other options. So I might have miscalculated on one of these. It's turn 9. In turn. I have 3 options left. We'll take a quick look and see which of the turns I maybe didn't destroy that asset. So I have 2 options left. So we're going to take a quick look at that. I should only have 1 option left if my math is correct. Because the first turn, you're basically going to draw 3 cards, and those are like your starter cards. Perhaps we'll maybe remove a couple cards from our lineup here for those initial 3. One thing I was considering is randomizing your starting hand every game, but at the same time, I think it might be more beneficial to always start with the same 3 cards. That way it's kind of expected. Like, this is how I'll open every game. Like, I'll, lower their defenses and whatnot. So, before we continue, I was asked to mention there is a new contest, a new Vox Edit contest being hosted by the Sandstorm. So this is number 20, Building the Past. So this time we'll open up a window to the past, a jump to our childhood. It's the turn of the game machines. Does the word arcade bring back any memories? I bet it does for many of you. Nothing better than an arcade day with friends, and at the end of the day, we always wanted to stay and live there. Wait a minute, that's it. We can make it happen. New mission, builders. Our builders must create a giant custom retro pinball machine. The deadline is December 9th. So not as much time as last contest. That's less than 2 weeks. The prize pool is still 5,000 sand. First place getting 1,500. Second place 1,000. Third place 800. Fourth place 700. Fifth place 500. And 6th through 10th each 100 sand as a runner-up prize. So use your coins wisely and get to work. Good luck and have fun. I wonder if they'll let me build a pinball machine on one of these streams, because that'd be a lot of fun. And a working pinball machine, maybe? There's a lot of ideas that come to mind, but just making maybe like an Oracle's themed pinball machine. You could make, like a Sandbox or NFT, like Bored Ape Yacht Club themed. Like you could totally like pitch this to somebody after you build it. Estonia. Head ood. Ooh, Estonia. Okay, Foxmaker Mark. Head ood. Did I say it right? And that's good night. Very nice. Head ood. Now I want nachos. Who doesn't want nachos? So, yeah, that's the new contest going on. Do check it out if you're interested. I'll drop the link in chat here. You do have to have a verified count on the Sandstorm Marketplace. But that's it for the announcements for now. Let's get back into building. So I do want to check this one more time, and I want to make sure a card is picked at the start of every turn. We can see here, I started my turn, it would have given me a card. So turn 2, it appears as though I was assigned a card. So that might also be less randomized. So the first 2 turns, essentially, we're not going to have randomized. Which is, pros and cons. Could be worse. But good to know, because that makes sense. So now that we are, committed to our RNG, the RNG works, our turn order works. I was able to go to turn 10. I'm going to start building out our user interface again. So watching an enemy attack or an ally attack, and then also playing our cards. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Win new Game Jam by Sandstorm. We have the Voxita contest, but I don't think they've done a Game Jam. Have they? I could be wrong. So a couple things here. My checkpoint. I don't need to spawn a new one, but I do recall that we had a mechanic to where we were spawning. Yeah, here's a new checkpoint. So we were spawning in a new location. I'm actually going to ensure that that remains off. So we can see here, I actually disabled it. So when we were working on our RNG, I had disabled us respawning, but we do still have a kill checkpoint command. And then what is this last one? This last one spawns the checkpoint. So all of these I might end up deleting. Before it was just to prevent cheating, but at this point I don't think it's necessary. So let's take a quick look at how the game would play. I'm going to turn my camera to where it's a top-down angle, and we'll have the camera distance at 24, and the camera's locked. So what that does is it means I can't turn like 90 degrees or anything like that. I'll always be facing the cardinal north direction. So you can see here, if I move my camera, like I can't rotate. Right now I'm trying to rotate the mouse, but no luck. One of the first things we set up when we did this game is we can see here, I have a tcg.left and I have a tcg.right command. So both of these messages are going out. And what that does is it allows me to say, let's say I pick up a card or I select a card. When I have that card selected, it's going to only affect the creature on the left. So I've kind of enabled the left creatures to be affected. And then over here, we have the right. That's the idea at the moment. But let's go ahead and set up a casual turn in our game. Oh, that's right, Roxy. They did have the Tower Game Jam. And then, ironically, Sandbox did theirs like weeks after. Which was kind of upsetting, I think. So we're going to be spawning cards. So I actually want to set up cards to where they're actually quite literally spawning in front of us. Which that's what these were for. I'm probably going to delete these ones. Yeah. We're going to use these. So these are the more up-to-date ones. The other ones were used for more or less seeing if they worked. These are going to be the cards that spawn in our hands. I'm going to toggle the visibility on them. And these actually had a health component. We probably want to disable the health component. We do not want them to be destroyed, but rather only turn on and off. So we can see here, these are being destroyed. And that destroy function is associated with these that's associated with these carpets that represent like, hey, this card has been used, you know, now we're removing it from the deck. So you don't play it again, you don't draw it again. However, these card asset spawners are basically spawning it inside of our hand. And so one thing I do want to set up, and this may or may not be today, is we're going to have 3 cards in our hand. Every card that spawns, like we draw into our hand, that's going to be the very leftmost card. When we play any card, whether it be the leftmost, the middle, or the right, which I suppose I could put like a reference. So just as a reference. So no matter which card we choose to play, what I want to happen is when our turn ends, the game will understand like, oh, the third most slot is empty. So I'm going to take whatever card I detect here and spawn it right here. And whatever card I detect right here, I'll spawn right here. And then whatever card is being drawn next, I'll spawn in the leftmost section. So this is like a normal card game mechanic in a way. And so that's what we're going to be working towards. And then what are these? These are our card 2 spawns, card 3 spawns. 3 spawn, card 2 spawn, and card 1 spawn. So these are all the same thing. Yes, so the cards we're spawning, we'll take a quick look at our preset. Is this one here. So we can see it actually has a health component, and it's being destroyed. So what do we want to do here? Well, we want to spawn it on top of our cards. And so we're likely going to be making asset spawners for each one of these sections. And each one needs to be able to detect that tag. I also need to rename these a little bit better so they're easier to find in terms of numbers and association. So, where do we begin? Well, I think we should start on the first part, or the first portion, and have the spawn points. So, I think each of our cards we're going to want a plant behavior for when we play it. So plant behavior will destroy it kind of permanently from the field. However, a respawn behavior would allow me to spawn it in a different location. Or we can commit to just the health component and we just use asset spawners to spawn more of them, which I kind of like that more. So these number pads probably won't even get used. So instead, I'm going to be spawning cards directly on top of these. So let's go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to take this end turn sign. This is my debugging device. This one I'll set to the side. We can see here, I'll end my turn. Draw a card. So turn 3 is when I start drawing randomized cards. So right now. Okay, so it drew the card. We started our turn. That's when we drew the card. You can see here, I'm watching my enemy play their turn 3. Enemy ends their turn. Start turn. New card appears. Perfect. Okay. So I want to stack all of these to where they're spawning on the left side of the screen. So let's go ahead and change the spawn offset. And then I think it was facing the wrong direction. I guess we can look real quick. We do want to make sure they're all spawning in the right direction. Not sure why I spawned all the way over there. That's fine. We can see they are actually upside down. So we're going to turn all of these around. And then essentially I want them all to spawn right here in this area. So let's find the offset. We'll do -5. Nope, too far. -2. And the negative z-axis will be not so far. -5. Sure, we'll try that. So then we can keep working our way up. So we'll do -2. I can do -2 for all of the x's. But for the z's, we'll do -4. It'll be -4.5. And so it's going up 0.5 each time. It's -4 and -2. Do -2 and -3.5. So be -2, -3. So will be -2 and -2.5. This one will be -2 and -2. This one will be -2 and -1.5. -2 and -1. And finally, -2 and -0.5. We'll save it. So let's see if I had my card selects. I don't think I exported that one either. Gee whiz. Did I actually make that? Sworn I did. So if we just take a quick look in Vox Edit, we had card glow. This is what I was looking for. So this is another thing I need to export today. We can see here, we have like an up, we have a front, down, and we have a back. So this is to kind of like simulate like, hey, there's a card on top here. And so if we look here in our presets, one of the cards we've made should have that same animation. So if we just take a look at the animated decorations, we can see all of my looping animations. But basically, I'm going to set up these cards where when I have one selected, it's kind of like playing this animation on loop. I'm not really sure if I like that kind of up and down. It's actually too fast. I might slow it down in Vox Edit and re-export every card, but you know, at least we can get started with it. We'll understand. It looks cool, right? And so when I have one selected, we'll see that glow underneath. Selecting a card not only activates a glow, but it activates the ability to select an enemy, or if it's a positive buff, you know, like an attack boost, I can instead select one of my allies. Excuse me. For the animated decoration, we're kind of like activating. We could also use door behaviors, but a door behavior won't have a loop on it. That's the unique thing with animated decorations. We can activate a loop. So let's see if we can at least have a toggle to where it's turning on the animation. And we'll attempt to use interact. And then finally, I want to see if I can interact through the wall here. And just to test it, I'll use a speaker component. And my speaker component is waiting for me to interact. So interact is doing two things on this asset. Right now we can see it's not animated. And it activates when I interact with it. If I interact with it again, it stops. That's fantastic. That's exactly what we want. So when I interact with it, I need to send out a message. So if I'm sending out a message, what needs to happen? Well, two things. I need to be able to select one of these characters. So I need to be able to not only interact with the one thing, but like every other time I'm interacting, like it's kind of like turning on a different behavior. So that's another mechanic we're going to have to figure out. A little bit more advanced, but this is kind of what I live for. Sadly, I don't see my asset, so we can see here my mouse game maker is a little bit bugged. I may have to restart. So how do we do that? Well, every time we send out an interaction message, it needs to toggle my settings. Save V. Somebody save V. Thank you, V. So that interaction message is going to be flipping a switch. So we're going to set up a speaker kind of message that is unique to our game. However, if I select a different asset, will this still work? It does need to be unique to each card as well. So with this particular one, I'm going to recreate card here, which I don't think this is the preset version. Nope. So we're going to make heat spray. Fix it down. And it's bugged. So I have to do a quick restart. It's fine. Yeah, I hope you're all having a nice day. Thanks for popping in. We'll be streaming for another 30 minutes. And if you guys are here Wednesday, same time, I'll be doing Vox Edit. And so we'll be working on more animations and things to add to our trading card game. Okay, so we'll pull up the actual card this time. So this time we're using this card here, rotating it around. Oops. So this is supposed to have, we want the preset version. Okay, so here's the preset version. We can see it has number pads hidden on it. Those provide the indicator components, so we can see text on the screen. But for the card itself, we're going to be using an animated decoration, and it's going to use a toggle behavior, which like we set up before. It also needs a health component. We'll do health component, toggle behavior. The toggle is going to be specifically for our up and down idle animation. We can just test it real quick. Oh, now it's not even working. Might be because this is too low. Might have to make it closer to eye level. So we did get it working not too long ago. Maybe I have to be a little bit closer. Let's find out. Oh. Animate decoration. Interact. Interesting. Is it because I had a speaker component on it? That's what caused the interact to work? No way, right? So, toggle behavior plus a message component, they work in tandem with the interact input only when a speaker component is added. That's cool. That's pretty neat. Okay, well, we got that working. So the problem therein is if I select this card and I instead want to choose one of my other cards. So I'm kind of like thinking far ahead, which is a blessing and a curse. Like I need to think far ahead if I want to make these mechanics work in the long term, but it also does add to my production time. But here's the thing, if I'm interacting, we're sending out a message. That message is toggling on our animated decoration. Do I really have to do that? The interact dot card dot left. We'll do interact.hand. I think that would make more sense. We'll do hand.1. And then we're also going to have more presets for our hand.2 and our hand.3. But what that does is if I oh no. Well, yes. No and yes. Sadly, the only problem is I just have to make more presets, which at the end of the day, I guess it's not too bad. It's just extra work. But I can turn off that kind of up and down effect. So we can see we have the off toggle, but I don't want the interact to be the problem. Instead, I want these to do interact.hand.other. And then I'm going to set up some health components. For basically when I'm interacting. So interact.hand.1, I'm going to be doing the interact.hand.other message. And it's going specifically to the opposite cards. So hand.2 and hand.3. So this message, I'm basically making universal, but I'm only sending it to the cards that aren't being used. So for example, if I'm interacting with card number 1, that's going to deactivate 2 and 3. Same situation here. I interact with card number 2 in my hand, I'm turning off 1 and 3. And finally, if I'm interacting with card hand number 3, I'm turning off 1 and 2. And then each of these needs to be reset rather than destroyed. So that way, if a character or a player really wanted to, they could just select each card and just kind of play with them. Like, these are the types of things I think about. It's like, how do people break games? Save our progress. So the new problem then is like when I select, or I guess the new problem is just I need to make more cards, so more variations. So for example, I added these messages like interact.hand.other, and I'm interacting with interact.hand.one. I need this specific card. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of cards I have to make. So basically, if I have 20 cards, I need to have 20 cards for each slot in my hand. So that's 60 cards total, which isn't too bad. With sheer willpower, exactly, woke zombie. With woke power. Excuse me. And so the tags I'm communicating with are these that I set up. I probably don't want the interact. I just want the hand.one. That way I can just understand, like, oh, this is, you know, at first glance. Like, this is in hand 2, this is in hand.1. And so just doing this in advance. And then finally, before I save the preset, I have hand.1. And then we can see TCG/fire/16. I could have sworn I already made these. So it looks like I didn't make duplicates of every card. But I started. So I have 2 duplicates, 2 duplicates, 2 duplicates, 2 duplicates. Non. So these last 6 cards I didn't even make a duplicate for yet. But if I were to just take a quick look at these, you can see each one had a unique tag anyway. So 14 and 4. So I'm basically doing the same thing, except this one is going to be our hand.one version. So let's go ahead and save that preset. Save that preset. So we're going to do TCG _ heat spray. Okay, this is card number 6. I want to do H1 for hand 1. We can see how complicated this looks already. Couple things. TCG is a tag so I can find it faster, and it organizes it where that's where I would find all of my cards and assets associated with this. So I do want that first. Heat spray would likely not need to be as necessary. So my hand 1 is going to go right here. The 6 is pretty useful too, because that's the 6th card, and I made that number due to alphabetics. So I'm actually going to do H1-6. So this is the new naming convention I'm creating, and I'll just copy this, hit done. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm making number 16. So this is going to be TCG/fire/16. We're going to remove that previous tag, And now I'm going to save this. This is a new preset because we hadn't made it yet. H1-16 heat spray. Great. Confident there's no way to do this in a reasonably low amount of effort. You're not wrong, Mo Zombie. Almost every project I'm doing right now requires more messages than like most people would consider to be in a game of this kind of scale. And that's simply because Sandbox provides a visual coding medium, but because it's a visual coding medium, you have much less control over what things do, and thus you have to do like roundabout ways. You know, you have to like connect the dots, but like you have to go to one dot first. You know, that's actually a good kind of analogy for it. Visual coding, like you're going to specific dots in an order. But like normal coding, you could just go from, you know, point A to point Z without having to go to B, C, D, E, F, G. Like you get the idea. But for me personally, visual coding makes this much more interactive and fun. So I enjoy visual coding. So, ooh, Woke Zombie, you're working with Touche, right? So you're doing ridiculous messages. Oh, I'm excited. All right, so yeah, that's our first card, and we're gonna make just the first 10 cards. All I need, because that's all we had set up. You know, our first 10 turns, and I need to make them all for hand 1. For now, as we're getting things set up, I'm actually going to have some fake cards here. So these are just literally for representation. So it looks like I have cards in my hand. But this one's good to go. But we're basically copying the same situation here. And we're doing and.1. Add a destroy message. What did we set up for the destroy message? So we have destroy, 0, kill. So this is the default that doesn't have anything on it. Let's look at this one. This one has the kill.carpet message. Now, why do I have the kill carpet message? Also, this one does not have the updated. So I made a 14 and a 4. It looks like I didn't even say, okay, that one has the correct. So 14 right there. Okay. So the kill carpet message is only bad if it's being received. Let's see here. So we're sending, or we're receiving the kill carpet message in this area. So this has the carpet tag. Where is it being sent out from? I think it's being sent from a detection message. So we can see here, I'm sending out that kill carpet message, and that's going to go anywhere in the map. And so that I do not want. I think this is why I set this up, actually. This is why I had this sitting here. So I want to kill the cards when they spawn in this location. Fairly certain. Yeah, I'll have more control if I do that. Or I can have all of these detectors basically set up over here, where they're also detecting the card, and when they do, it's sending out the same message anyway. So I think that's actually more efficient, and if I'm thinking on terms of like optimization, I should probably do that. So for now, we're going to put these over here. So these detectors are essentially detecting the card, and when it is detected, it's killing the carpet over here, which is my RNG, so it will no longer be selected if that carpet is dead. But the problem therein is these cards currently had the kill carpet message as well. So we need to set up a new message when they're used. So when I use this card, what message is going out? Oh man, this is getting worse. I heard people are being told to write down their messages in a spreadsheet with what they do in game and what they're ready for 0.8 in case things break. Yeah, Wogzabi, I'm kind of under the impression of those games are left in the past. So at this point, I'm just full steam ahead. Like if I have to make a game from scratch, I will. I think trying to find messages and re-link them will not help. And yeah, I'm the same boat as Vivox. I haven't really updated any of my old games. They're just kind of left in the graveyard. Okay, so this health component then. Let's just run through an example here. I select this card. When I select this card, it's kind of like blinking. It's going up and down. Let's say I want to use it. So by having this card selected, it needs to activate certain mechanics to where it'll be consumed, and it needs to understand like, oh, it's being used on a character. So we have to set up a very unique message kind of like formula of order of operations. So I need that interaction message, that interact.hand.1 to kind of trigger something. So we're kind of like trying to find that middle message or two messages, maybe even three, of like what happens once I've selected hand number one. Okay, so let's say I selected hand number one. And then I need to select one of these characters here. So does that mean I need to have like an interaction message spawn? So we can use an asset spawner that will kind of give me the ability to select a target. So this will turn on and off a detect message or a interaction message, which I should probably make a lamp that has interaction on it. Out of all the lamps I've made, I have a detect lamp, I have an asker lamp, which actually an asker lamp would do the same thing here. So we'll probably have that set up. So we're going to be spawning an asker behavior that says, by the way, I haven't thought of a name for this game yet, if anybody has suggestions. Where it's going to be like, yes, do you want to use this card selected on Frost Toad? And so when I say yes, I need to trigger this card dying, but also that same message. So I'm probably gonna have a lot of asker behaviors as well. So that same message, like confirming it, so saying yes, will deal damage, will delete this card, and will trigger the turn ending. Hard card, the card game. Look, Zavi, you say that, and it's still like I could see it. There's meme potential there. So, quick reminder, everybody. that we do have a Sandstorm contest that was just announced. So it's my responsibility to reveal Building the Past. And so in the future, you're going to be building the past. So keep in mind, we're opening up a window to the past. So the idea is find something in your childhood or something maybe that reminds you of, a childhood game, and you're making a game machine, a pinball machine. So it seems arcade is more or less the theme here. And the objective, it says, builders must create a giant custom retro pinball machine. So it does say pinball machine specifically. Now, does that mean like we can build any arcade machine? I know Slaterade might be hanging around. So Slaterade, can we build like anything from an arcade, or does it have to be a pinball machine? So like the description, like it kind of leaves it up to your imagination, but then the objective kind of like specifies it as pinball machine. But just to walk through this one more time, does the word arcade bring back memories? I bet it does. Nothing better than an arcade day with friends, and at the end of the day, we always wanted to stay and live there. Wait a minute, that's it. Let's make it happen. New mission, builders. And so the objective, as Slaterade is confirming, is creating a custom retro pinball machine, a giant one at that. So I look forward to seeing whatever you guys create, whatever theme you make. And the first thing that came to mind is making a theme based around an NFT. Perhaps like you want to get on the Bored Ape Yard Club, the Yacht Club of their radar. And so you make one with their theme. Perhaps like you love the Cool Cats. Maybe you own, like a doodle or something. And so like perhaps catering to one of those themes when you make this pinball machine might, draw some eyes in your direction. The prize pool is going to be 5,000 sand, 1,500 for first place. Second place is 1,000 sand. Third place, 800. Fourth place, 700. Fifth place, 500. And 6th through 10th place, 100 sand each. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing some pinball machines. Would love to see some, flashes, animations, maybe like some fireworks that occur. Should be great. So, we're going to be making asker behaviors where we're selecting a card. So we saw here that when we had selected, so interacting with the card in the first placement, it's sending out the message interact.hand.1. I'm going to go to my asker behavior. Yeah, give me 5 minutes. And then we're doing interact.hand.1. So that is going to basically kickstart whatever effect that our card will have. And it's going to be generally any offensive messages. And so this option here is going to be like complete.hand.1. So we had interact.hand.1. Maybe we go off of that message because then it'll be easier to understand in the future. So interact.hand.1.activate. And so if we chose not, like if we selected a different card, we're basically spawning a different asker behavior. So that means our health component needs to be destroyed if we selected a different asset. So by destroying it, and we're going to do a negative death delay here, it's being spoken to because we're sending out this message, interact.hand.other. And so this is going to have the same hand.1 tag. And we're giving it that same message of instant death when it's interact.hand.other. And because we gave it the hand1 message, you can see here with these health components we already set up, that when we're interacting with .hand.1, it's sending that specific message to the other hands, other hand cards. And then the opposite is true for when we select the second card, because it's disabling the interact.hand.other. And so that message is going to hand 1 and hand 3. And then finally, with the third choice, we're sending that to our first choice and second choices. And so that allows me to have this asker behavior that can be destroyed and spawned without any problems. One thing I could do instead, and this might actually be more beneficial, is I could do a toggle behavior. Wait, where's it? There's. So instead of killing it, we can do a turn on and off message. And because it has the tag, it's still going to be communicated with. So I think this is probably going to be better than spawning a new one every time. We'll have interact.hand.1 and then interact.hand.other, which deactivates it. Great. So I'm going to actually remove the asset spawner. And then our asker behavior, whenever I get close to it, I want to have that indicator component. And the indicator component, the only thing we want from it is the interact. So we're basically having a display of like, hey, you're close to this. Do you want to do something? And it'll show up on screen. We'll go ahead and disable any quest cursors. And we'll hide it where it's still level with the player. The player will be able to interact with it. Okay, so that being said, see what happens when I get close to it. We can see it does have the interact message. When I select heat spray, I can see my health component down there has been disabled. And it did turn, it was supposed to turn on. So let's see why it didn't turn on. We want this asker message. Oh, which we can see here. I had set as interact.hand.1, but we actually changed that to the toggle message. Instead, we want this to be the interact, just normal interact, just walking up to it, hitting E. And lastly, I don't want it to display a name, so I'm going to remove the name. Great. We'll save our progress. I think we're on to something. This is actually going well. It's just, I can see the path, and it's a long path. But it's doable. It really is doable. So we can see here, I can't interact yet. In fact, I'll probably put it in the corner here. But when I select a card, now I can interact. And it says, do you want to use the card selected on Frost Toad? And my options are yes, or let me think about it. And so we didn't set up this part yet, but if I were to select a different card, or if I select it again, what happens? Oh, okay, that's another hurdle we'll have to jump over. So if I select it a second time, only on the secondary time, I also need it to turn off asker behavior. So that is where I will leave it, because that's going to be a whole nother hurdle to jump through. So thank you everybody for watching. We're going to be wrapping up the stream. Muchos gracias. Did Sandbox end their stream, or are they still going? Oh, Sandbox is still live. So we can send the Sandstorm Meetup friends and fam over there. You guys are probably already there. So, I mean, we'll just get in the hang of it. Yeah, we'll send the raid that way. Thank you everybody for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic Monday, a good start to the week. We'll see you next time.